Hello, my stamping friends. Brenda Hillard here at Create with Brenda. I am a independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I am located in north central Minnesota. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy you're here. I'm going to put my little logo up at the top. I just want it to be recognizable, that when you see, maybe I'll put it down here. When you see this logo, that's me, Brenda Hillard, and I am here to help you always. So the other thing I want to share with you is my monthly host code, and that's a little difficult to see up there. I'm going to leave it up and switch over to my workstation camera, and we'll go from there. You have to excuse me. I had a little dental work done this morning, so I'm waiting for some Novocaine to wear off. So great time to go with your face on camera, right? But anyway, here I am. Last night was my monthly mystery stamping event, and I always put up a video the next day. However, I want to bring to your attention that my cutting measurements on my newsletter were not correct. In the newsletter, it said to cut your paper at 4 1/4 by 9 1/4. It's actually 4 1/4 by 9 3/4. So I will post the correct measurements below the video, and we'll go from there. I'm going to switch to my workstation. Good to see you guys. I hope you stay with me. I have a fun project for this week. All right, here we go. Or this month, I should say. Here we go, here we go. All right, so what I have is an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of basic white. I have a scrap piece of basic white and a scrap piece of basic black. And let's just go ahead and cut our 8 1/2 by 11. So let me grab my trimmer here. And what I'm going to do is on the long, so you're going to put your 8 1/2 inch side up at the top of your trimmer. Move it over to the 4 1/4 inch mark and cut. Then I'm going to extend out my arm, and I'm going to measure 9 3/4. And again, I'm going to cut. So this can actually be your scrap piece. You won't need a separate piece. Then what I want to do is our next piece, I'm going to cut it to 8 1/2 and 3 3/4. Okay, so now I have these two pieces, okay? I'm going to take the left edge of my paper and put it at 4 1/4, move my cutting blade to the top, and I'm just going to score at 4 1/4. Remember, 4 1/4 by 9 3/4, okay? Sorry about the incorrect measurement. I try to double check, recheck, and recheck, but obviously I missed it. So now this one too, I just put the left edge at 4 1/4 and scored. I'm going to keep my trimmer in place. The designer series paper that I chose to use is this black and white perfectly penciled paper. This is out of the new annual catalog, the 2022-2023 Stampin' Up Annual Catalog, and it is gorgeous. So let's cut some pieces here. I'm going to take this piece, and this one. So I want to use the black with the white dots, and I want to cut this so that it measures 4 by 5 1/4 And I'm just going to set that aside. I want to cut this one so that it measures 4 inches by 4 inches. And you guys, you're going to want to stay tuned because I have a whole bunch of samples to show you with this layout. So now for this one, I'm going to cut this at 3 inches by 4 inches. And then I want another piece that measures 2.5 by 6. So I'm going to cut it on the 6-inch side first, and then 2.5, and that's going to be for the flap of my envelope, okay? And then the only other thing that I want is just a little piece of this, like a 1 inch, maybe even just a 3/4 inch strip that measures 3 1/4 in length. Okay. And this I didn't have in the cutting directions either, but I'll show you why. And the one other thing I'm going to want for my card, and so that I can show you yours, is I want a piece that measures just a little over 4. So that one's not going to work. Give me just a sec. I want it to measure just a little over 4. So I'm going to do like 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And I'm just using basic black, okay? So for right now, I'm going to put the trimmer away. I am going to need it for my sentiment piece, but we'll bring it back out later. All right, let's start assembling. With our 4 1/4 by 9 3/4 inch piece, I'm going to just fold on the score line and burnish with my bone folder. And I want this one to open this way, okay? This one, I'm going to fold on the score line, and I'm going to burnish my fold, and this one I want to open this way, okay? All right, so I'm going to take next that very first piece of designer series paper that I cut. It measures 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to add some adhesive to that paper, and I'm going to put that right inside, just kind of centering it on the inside of our fold. Now this one I'm going to close. Remember, our fold is on the right hand side over here, not over here, here. And is what I'm going to do is take my 4 by 3 piece of designer series paper, add my adhesive, and I'm going to put that on the 4 1/8 by 3 1/8 inch piece. I want just that tiny little bit of matting, and you'll see why. I'm going to add adhesive, and then this is going to go, remember, fold is on the right. I'm going to burnish that one more time. I didn't have my edges as even as I would like. And I'm just going to center this on the front, and it's going to open. Now I've really burnished it. open this way, okay? So this little strip that I told you that I cut that wasn't in the directions is what I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive on there, and I'm going to adhere that, leaving just like 1/8 of an inch of the white, and I'm going to put that just on the inside of this flap, okay? Let's take our 4 by 4 inch square, add adhesive, and we're going to put that right, centering it right there. So our card now looks like this. We're going to flip this over, and I'm going to put adhesive at the top and the bottom, and I want one little diagonal in the middle. And I'm going to take the bottom, you know, the bottom of the flap where the adhesive is, and I'm going to center that on the inside of our card. So it's going to look like that. Now I can lift up, and that'll be the inside. This is going to fold, this is going to fold. So our card looks like this. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let me bring in my alcohol blends. I'm going to be using the new in colors. This is the Sweet Sorbet Light and Dark, Parakeet Party Light and Dark. All I want to do is just highlight one of these flowers. This black and white paper is absolutely beautiful, colored with, it can be markers, it can be ink, it can be colored pencils, or as I'm using, the alcohol blends. And the cool part about this is that it's already shaded. So really, all you do is just add the color, and the shading is already done for you. You don't even have to blend with this one because of the blacks, the grays, and the white in this paper. And of course, if you haven't used our alcohol blends, you'll want to check those out. They color beautifully. There's no streaking, there's no lines. Gorgeous. So there's our card with just the one flower and the stem colored. And then is what I want to do is, yeah, I felt like I had that on there a little bit crooked, and I don't know if I'm going to get it off there quite like I want to, but we're going to try it. It's coming up so far. Yay! Yeah, if I would have looked at my lines here, I could have seen that it was, or my lines of circles, I could have seen that it was crooked. There. Much better, right? So is what I want to do is just grab a medium basic white envelope. And you've seen me do this a lot because my slogan here at Create with Brenda is no naked envelopes. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on the flap. We'll give it one for good measure there. I'm going to put my strip of 2.5 by 6 designer series paper and give that a good rub onto the flap so my adhesive sticks. I'm going to be taking my paper snips, Stampin' Up paper snips. These are a gem. If you don't have them, you may want to order a couple pairs. They're very sharp, and they stay very sharp for a long time. Okay, so there's our pretty matchy envelope, right? And if you wanted to, because this is doubled up, I can actually highlight one of the flowers on the flap too. And I don't know about you, but I love to color. I find it very therapeutic. In fact, I'm so relaxed when I color, I can hardly even talk at the same time. Haha. All right. So there, I've highlighted that flower. And because we had the double layer with the envelope flap, it didn't bleed through. So that's kind of cool. Let's get to our sentiment. What I'm going to be using today is the Happy Birthday. And this go-to greeting set is amazing. This is the $1 Million set, $1 Million Sales Achiever, Sandy Hartka, who was part of creating this. And if you haven't noticed, so you get Happy Birthday thinking of you, just a note, thank you, in a big font, medium font, and then the small font with a hello. Super cute. So I'm going to take out the Happy Birthday, and I'm going to mount that on my clear acrylic block. I'm going to bring in one of the scrap pieces of basic white that we had left from our hard base when we trimmed it. And I'm just going to ink this up, moving it around on the ink pad. And then I'm going to place it right down here. I'm going to trim this, so that's why I went to the bottom left. So there's our pretty Happy Birthday. I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And we're just going to trim this down. We'll have it measure 2 3/4. And then let's take just a little bit off the top. So it'll measure 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 3/4 is going to be our final measurement. So 2 3/4 by 3/4, I want this to be 2 7/8 by 7/8. Let's see if my quick math was right. So now when I mat this on here, I should have just that tiny black frame. Yay, I do. So I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal, add a little bit onto my sentiment strip. We're going to mount that onto our black mat, just like that. And then our final touch is going to be to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. And you can see I've used all of my dimensionals out of the center. So then what I do is I just go around and snip the edge, and I use all of these pieces. You do not want to waste your Stampin' Dimensionals. They're too much fun. So I'm going to put that right on here, right on the front. So we get the Happy Birthday. And isn't this just the black and white with that little pop of red? Or as I should say, sweet sorbet. It just makes it. So for the inside, again, if I want to, I could actually color or accent just one of the flowers on this little strip that I added. And we'll give it just a touch of green for the stem. The leaf. And the rest of the stem. So there's the inside. And now let's add our sentiment. And the sentiment I chose is from the Charming Sentiments. This too is a $1 Million Sales Achiever, Lisa Curcio. And this set actually has little dies that match each one of these sentiments to cut it out. However, for my purposes, I do not need the dies. So being this was Happy Birthday, I want to use the stamp that says wishing you everything wonderful. I'm going to mount that on my block. And let's bring back in the Memento Tuxedo black ink. And I'm just going to move this around, making sure I have good coverage on my stamp. And then, whoops, do not put your card in your stamp pad like I almost did. And I'm just going to stamp. Give it just a few minutes for the ink to penetrate the paper. And there's our sentiment. Okay, you guys, this is a wrap on the layout for June 2022 mystery stamping here at Create with Brenda. So when we close our card, we close it up and our matching envelope. Now I told you to stay tuned because I have lots of samples to share with you. And I'm not kidding, I have lots of samples. So here's one that I did. And this is kind of fun, I liked it. And I didn't add it to this one, so I think I maybe will. Whoops. These are the solid faceted gems. And I can't really tell if these gems are, I think they might be green, but they sure look black to me when you put it on black. So I'm going to add one right here, a small one, and then one more bigger one right up here. Doesn't that just make that card pop? It kind of brings in the circles from our background. All right, I hope you'll give it a try. If you do, be sure to join my Create with Brenda Crafters Facebook group. Share your creations there and get in to win. I do a prize giveaway every month, and every month it's different, so check it out. But if you post your creations there, you go into the drawing to win one of my prizes. And notice, I said plural, prizes. All right, so here's my card I did with the group last night via Zoom for the actual live mystery stamping. Well, I shouldn't say live. It's a virtual event, but we do it like live through Zoom. So that happened last night at 7 o'clock. The next one coming up, the next mystery stamp that's coming is going to be the second Wednesday of each month. So that puts it on Wednesday, July 13th at 7 p.m. Central Time. Look at this one. This is that Hues of Happiness. So I just stamped a little leaf on the envelope, keeping it simple. I fussy cut some of the flowers from the Designer Series paper pack. And then on the inside, I've just left this one blank because it is a thank you. And when I send thank yous, excuse me, I had to sneeze. I think it's that Novocaine coming out of my mouth, and it's kind of affecting my nose when I talk. More information than you needed. But when I make thank yous, I like to leave the inside of them blank most often so that I can write my little note of specific thanks. So this is the perfectly penciled paper. This is the Hues of Happiness. I love these. This is the He's Then. And these are those dies, you guys. This card is so simple because all you have to do is put some dimensionals on the die and it's done. No coloring, no stamping. And then on the inside, I finished it like this, where I stamped the Happy Birthday from the Celebrating You stamp set. This is from the He's the Man. It's the compass, and I used crumb cake for that. So I used Early Espresso on the sentiment, crumb cake for the background. I really love this card. So there's that from He's the Man. I have one more from He's the Man. And that, my friends, looks like this. It says, "You're flipping awesome." And this is for one of my sons for Father's Day. When you open it up, it just has Happy Father's Day on the inside. This again is the die that comes with the designer series paper. They're pre-printed and they're cut, so you simply just have to push them out, add a dimensional, put them on your card. And then I've got the matching flap on the envelope. You guys, I'm not kidding. I made a ton of samples. Once you start making this card, it's really fun. So here's using the Butterfly Kisses designer series paper. Just a moment, please.
Motion detected at the basement entry.
Ugh, somebody was like banging on the door like an emergency, and it's
Someone
really
is
not.
At the basement entry.
Okay, so Butterfly Kisses, a paper hug from me. I left that blank because I'm not sure. This is Nature's Prince. Isn't that pretty? And now I have some of the retiring paper. Hey Sportsman. The tulips. And I have 2 of those. Artfully Composed. Pretty. I love this paper. This is part of the, oh gosh, I forgot what it's called. Hang on. It is called the Abstract Beauty paper, like this. And then this is the Symbols of Fortune. And again, this one I left it blank inside, thinking of you. I don't know if it's with sympathy. I don't know if it's just thinking of you. Hope you're feeling better. But anyway, there is a plethora of samples, you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to check the measurements down below for that correction from my newsletter. And I will see you again for another mystery stamping event on, what did I tell you? July, right? July 13th at 7 p.m. Central Time on Zoom. You'll get the link for the event in my newsletter. Until then, bye-bye.